Have you ever wondered how artists make their flat drawings look 3D? Well, today I'm going to show you how to draw basic 3D shapes, and whether you're looking to improve your drawing or you just want to learn something new, this is a great video for you. And as a art education major and someone that has enjoyed drawing and art all my life, I have practiced these techniques quite a bit, so I know they'll help you in making your drawings look more 3D. So we're going to go through three basic shapes: the cube, the cylinder, and the sphere, or the ball. So I'm going to show you how to draw these three. So first, we'll start with the cube. So for the cube, you'll need a ruler and a pencil and a piece of paper. So the first thing we're going to do to draw the cube is we're going to make a square. So with your ruler, you want to make sure all four sides are the same. So I'm going to do mine at 2 inches for each side. And you want to try and make the angles as straight as you can so that they're parallel with the other side. Okay, so that's our first step, is just drawing a square with all sides the same. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw another square just like this one, same size on all sides, except for this time we're going to set the corner in the middle. So I'll show you what that means. So we're going to start by drawing the first side anywhere inside the square. So I'm going to try and do it close to the center, and this is going to have all sides be 2 inches as well. So we'll start about right down here. And that side's not really straight, but it's close. And I might go back and fix that side here in a second. And as you can see, this square is not 100% square in the corners. I'll fix this line real quick. There we go. Okay, so now we have two squares that are overlapping each other. So this is going to be the front side, the first square that we did, and the second square is going to be the back side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take all these corners and connect them, all four corners here of each box. So we'll start with this side. Put your ruler down and connect the two end points. And I broke my lead again. Alright. So there's one right there. We'll go to this next one here. Okay, so now we have a cube. So now with this cube, this would be what we would consider like a glass cube because we can see through each side. because if it was a solid cube, we wouldn't be able to see these lines here, because that would be a solid side there. But since it's a glass cube, you can see through. Now if you want to make it a solid cube where you can't see through the sides, we would erase all these. Here, I'll use this eraser. Erase this line through here, this line up here, and this line going this way. So I'll show you that real quick. Erase that line. Okay. Touch up these lines here. I should probably use a ruler, but I should sketch it a little bit. And that makes it a solid cube. So now that we erase those lines back in through there, it makes it a nice solid cube. So to make it even more 3D, what we can do is add some shading. So first, before you start shading, you have to decide where the light's going to be coming from. So we're going to make it come from this top left-hand corner here. So we'll say like there's a little lamp here. That is a horrible drawing, but that's okay. And we have the light coming this way. So it's the light, I don't know if you can even see that, but the light is coming down this way, so it'll be lighter anywhere towards the light. So this top side, a little bit on this side, it's going to be pretty dark over here because there's no light, and darker down here because there's less light. So I'll shade just real quickly. Not going to spend a lot of time on it because it takes quite a while, but it'd be real dark down here and then gets lighter as it goes up because we're going towards the light on this side. So darker down here and sort of gets a little lighter and a little bit lighter. And one way to shade things, if you're using line quality, is you have lines that are closer together down here, makes it look darker. Then as you sort of spread the lines apart, it makes it look lighter. So, and if you need to make it darker, add more lines in there. And then now it's getting a little bit lighter. And I'm just doing this pretty quickly here, just so you can get the gist of it. And even lighter now. Spread out. And then I'll make this a little bit darker down here. Something like that on this side. You can see it gets from dark to light towards the light up here. And up here, it'd mostly be light because all the light's hitting there. But we will make it just slightly darker on this side because it's going to be a little bit away from the light there. And then lighter, lighter, and pretty much all white over here. And then this side is going to be really dark because there's hardly any light on this side. And one of the things you want to avoid when shading is you don't want too many areas to be around the same shade or same lightness or darkness, especially on a cube like this, because like if this is the same color and this is the same color or shade, then they start to blend together and you lose that three-dimensional shape. So that's why you want to really watch out for that. So we're going to make this side pretty dark. But And especially down here towards the bottom, since we have the light coming from the top, it's going to be a little bit darker. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I could spend forever drawing and shading, but you get the gist of it. See, it already looks more 3D there. Alright, so now that we've done the cube, we're going to move on to the cylinder. So with the cylinder, our first step is we need to draw 2 ovals. So one down here and one up here. And you want to try and keep them about the same distance apart this way. So what we'll do is we'll draw an oval right here, and then if you want, you can put your ruler and draw a line straight up on both sides. That way you know they're perfectly aligned on each side. That way it's not leaning one way or the other. And then try and draw your oval inside those lines. Something like that. And then you can erase the excess lines if you don't need them. And you can sort of adjust there. And that one was pretty easy. We have a 3D cylinder there already. But it's like we did on this one, it's a glass one. We can see this bottom here. We can see that line, which means we can see through this side. So now if we want to make it a solid cylinder, we just erase this part of the oval down here, right here. Just erase that part. I'll touch up these lines right here. So now we have a cylinder here, and same thing with this one. If we want the light coming in from this side, now with this, we have to sort of curve the lines when we're shading. So it maintains that curve on this side, how this is curved up here. We sort of, when we shade, we want to shade sort of in that same motion. And since the light's coming up from here, or coming down from here, it would be dark down here and light towards the top. So once again, I'm going to go quickly through this, but it'd be darker towards the bottom. And it's sort of hard to shade at a curved angle like this, but sort of curves like this, so it wraps around the edge. And I usually like to go a little bit lighter in the dark areas at first, and you can always go back and darken it up, but it's harder to lighten it up once you've made it dark. So it's easier to go lighter and then go back and sort of darken it up a little bit. But I'm going to speed up a little bit, try and get through this here so you can see what I'm doing here. And it's curved. And we'll space it out a little bit more. And another thing is, since the light's coming at an angle from this side, it will also be lighter over here towards the top because the light's coming from this way. So we have 2 different ways to shade. So it needs to be lighter here and darker as it goes out. So we have to keep that in mind as well when we're shading. I made that a little too dark there. We'll go through sort of lightly. And then here on the top when we're shading, we sort of want to curve inside the circle, or the oval here. So we'll make it sort of where it curves, and it's going to be pretty light on top because there's the light's coming from over here, but we do need to make it just slightly darker on this side. Something like that maybe. And then I'll go through and sort of darken up this side over here because it's a little bit further away from the light. And this is going to be light here and dark down here. So make this a little bit darker here. All right, I'm trying to hurry here. All right. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I could sit here and shade all day, but maybe we'll touch up a little bit down here. All right, but mainly I want you to get the idea that the light's coming up here, so it's going to be darker anywhere that it's the furthest away from the light. So now we have our 3D cylinder here, and last but not least, we're going to do our cube, or not our cube, but our sphere or ball. So for this, I would find something round to trace. It can be a lid, a cup. This is a little magnet deal. Anything that you can find that's circular and flat. So I'm going to trace this. You can also use a, I forgot what it's called now. Thing you use in math class, the little, I'm blanking on it. But however, you can get a circle, perfect circle there. So this one, the shading is very important because unlike these two, we could just have the lines and no shading and we could still sort of tell that it was 3D. This, without any shading, it's completely flat. It's just a circle. So that's why this shading for this one is the most important, because without it, it's just a flat circle. So we're going to do the light coming in from here, like this. So just like the rest, it'll be the darkest where it's the furthest from the light, and the lightest where it's closest to the light. And sort of similar to this one, how we had to curve the lines when we're shading. This one we have to curve, but we have to curve a lot more. We have to almost draw, if you want to, just draw a super light circle here, so you can tell that it's round and that's where the light is. So that's sort of what you want to do when you're shading. Basically almost draw a circle. So it's going to be real dark down here, and so it's coming from here, so we're going to go about here, down, curved to here, and then it's a circle, so we're just basically try and curve it. So, and this is probably the hardest one to shade, but it's also the most important one because, like I said, you can't tell really by just the lines that it's 3D. You have to shade in order to make it look 3D, but that's what makes it challenging. So we're sort of keep curving the lines here, and now that's sort of the darker area. Now I'm going to spread my lines out a little bit, make it a little bit lighter. Now, and and as you get closer to the top, you want to curve your lines even more. So now I'm going to start curving them where they're a little more round. And they're spread out even more now because we're almost to the top where the light is. So and we're going to do them lighter. Something sort of like that. And I'm going to erase this little circle, light drawn circle that I did so that it's not showing up there. And then I'm going to go back through and sort of adjust some of this because it all sort of looks like one color there, or one shade. So I'm going to darken up this part a little bit down here. So it's going to be darker down here. And I'm going to try and speed up a little bit because I can sit here and shade for hours, but I need to hurry it up so you guys can see what I'm doing here. And we'll make these a little bit darker since they're close to the dark part. Make these parts a little bit darker here. And then I'm sort of fill in this just a little bit here. And just sort of lightly fill in some of these lines. So something sort of like that. You can always make it a little bit darker or lighter, and it takes quite a while to get your shading perfectly, but just a real quick demonstration here so you can sort of see that a little better. And there you have it. So you have a 3D sphere or a ball, a cylinder here, which needs more shading, but I'll address that. And then our cube here. So I hope that helps you with drawing basic 3D shapes, and this will help you because a lot of the more complex 3D things that you'll draw have the basic, or have these basic shapes sort of incorporated in them, or you'll have to use these to draw larger items. Like if you're drawing like a big building, it's basically like a big cube or a bunch of combinations of cubes, things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and have a great day.